I'm the only surviving eyewitness and victim of a crime spree that resulted in the cruel, premeditated, cold-blooded execution-style murder of my fiancée, Alicia, my about-to-be-born daughter, and the cold-blooded attempt to murder me. I oppose granting parole to Bush. Bush was supposed to be our friend. Instead, he and the two Sweeney brothers plotted to and did rob and kill Alicia in cold blood and attempted to kill me in cold blood as well.
And that is the survivor, the sole survivor and witness of this horrific crime. And we're going to hear from multiple victims. We're going to hear from the ADA and we're going to hear from the supporters. But before we do all of that, let's take a blast to the past, his 2021 parole hearing. And with that, let's jump in.
Classified as a first felony offender. Offense: manslaughter and attempted first-degree murder. Sentencing date: August 10, 1999. Sentenced to a total of 40 years. Parole date: August 1st, 2021. Good time: September 2nd, 2031. Full term: June 29th, 2038. Is this information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Pearl.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Cornell. My name is Pearl Wise. I was assigned your case, so I'll do the first interview, and my colleagues may or may not have any questions. How's it going?
Outstanding. Good morning.
Good. You just had a birthday Sunday. Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have a very interesting life. You graduated high school in what year?
In 1992.
And you went to the Marines for how long?
4 years, ma'am.
From 92 to what? When did you get out?
1996.
1996. I'm just going to call out briefly for the record. You earned quite a few awards while you were in the military.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious to know why you didn't make it a career.
I felt that wasn't my life. I wanted to go to school and move on.
Okay.
And once I got out, I just fell off into other things.
Yeah, because I see you got the National Defense Service Medal. You got Meritorious Unit Commendation, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, and letters of appreciation. You did well in the military.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got an honorable discharge as well. And you got married. What year did you get married?
94.
In 94. How long did that last?
About 2 years.
Okay. And in your criminal history, you had one arrest in 97, and that charge was refused for a drug charge. And then here we are today in 98.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a 50-year sentence. What do you say to that? How did that happen?
I quit believing in myself, and I started doing what was easy, just flowing with what was easy at my disposal. Just go to the streets, and I don't have any expectation on me, no responsibility. So just do what I want to do. That was basically my mindset.
Okay, all right. So of this 40-year sentence, how long, call out for the record how long you've served?
22 years.
You served 22 years, and you're 49 today.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's correct. Okay. You lost 60 days of good time, February 3rd of 2020. Tell us about that. What was that write-up about?
I was in the road crew. We go out and pick up trash in the community, and there's 10 guys that's on the crew with us, and one of the guys, younger guy, who was short to go home, he decided to he found some phones, broken phones on the side of the road, and he evidently he kept them and stashed them. They found some other things, drugs and pocket knife, charger, and they didn't know who it belonged to, so they gave the charge to everyone on the van, all 10 of us. And of course, I was part of the crew. But at that time, I had a clemency in action. I had just started, and so that was what I was looking forward to. So I was walking a straight line. I really couldn't afford to do stuff like that.
Yeah, because I noticed in your disciplinary record prior to that, you hadn't had a write-up since 2015.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that was yeah. So that was okay. Okay. I read somewhere you said when you committed this offense, you had been off your medication for 2 years. Do you remember saying that?
No, ma'am. I'm not on any medication.
I'm talking about before you committed this, before you got involved in this offense, you were not on any kind of medication?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You never had any kind of mental health diagnosis?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. You know, you have law enforcement opposition. There's nothing you can do about it, but I just want to make you aware of it. There is some law enforcement opposition to your early release. And you do have 375 days of programs. So you have tried to work on yourself. Tell me which programs meant the most to you. Just give me the top 3 that you've taken.
The going home, staying home, that was one. Of course, the anger management, because that plays a big role throughout my jokes and really helped me. But the one that really stood out the most was a church program called Best Dads. And I don't have any children. Hopefully I will one day, but I do have nieces and nephews. And that class showed me some things about myself that I really want the future generation to see in me. I hear stuff about the generations behind me that saw me while I was on the street and the memories they have of me, and I don't like those memories. And I want to do better. I want the generation behind me, I want them to go forward and take full advantage of everything that's at their disposal.
Okay, good. Let's talk about your offense. What was your role in this crime?
Talking about I'm sentenced on for the 40 years. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, it was a robbery of a guy who had drugs. He had drugs and money, and our intentions was to jack him, just take his money and his drugs, and it just didn't work out that way. He was really willing to die for his, and I wasn't really willing to go that far. But someone in the group was, and it was beyond me, and all I could do, I fled the scene because it went beyond what I was arrogant to believe that I could mouthpiece him into, hey, here, take it, everything, just go. But it wasn't that way. This man was really willing to die for his, and I wasn't willing to go that far. He didn't fall for the poker face, and I fled the scene. It got hectic, and we got to, and I just fled the scene.
The interesting thing was that no drugs was found, mentioned in the reports that we got that he had drugs at that house.
Well, they said there were that there were, some said that there wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. We never know. But the fact that you know that this was planned, I mean, that sounded kind of right to you on that day to go do that.
I was taking a chance. I was young, living on the edge, and just like I told you earlier, doing what I wanted to do that I thought I could get away with. I was arrogant. I feel like I look back and I believe that I put too much confidence in myself to do the wrong things rather than doing the right things. Instead of going to school like I went to the Marine Corps for, so I can get out and go to school, I put my confidence in doing things, that we shouldn't do. Yes,
you did. So, do you know? Are you aware of the laws?
Yes, ma'am.
And the young lady was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Speak to the victims now. What do you say to all of this?
Well, what I was a part of.
But talk to me though. Talk to me. Talking to me. If you had the opportunity to talk to the victims, what would you say?
I don't believe an apology would suffice, but I would just express to them that how how embarrassed and how appalled I am at myself for my past. That I allowed myself to fall into that mindset, and I regret it. And like I said, I don't believe an apology would help, but I would let them know that I do regret, and I am sorry for what I caused.
All right, thank you. So what do you do every day now at the prison? What's your job?
Well, right now I work in the grass crew, and we cut grass in the compound, in the perimeter fence, and I really wanted to be active, but I wanted to be active in a way where there could be supervision. That way I don't have to worry about ducking landmines and, others that want to violate, and I don't want to violate. So we have a supervisor with us. I feel like that was the safest route to go.
Okay. And now what is your trustee status?
I'm no longer a trustee. I'm just a regular inmate staff.
So when were you a trustee? When was that?
That was last year for like maybe 9 months.
Okay. So what reduced you on that status?
Excuse me?
So what happened? You lost your trustee status. What happened?
That was part of the sanctions they enacted for the rule number 1 violation.
I got you. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to be sure. All right, thank you. Warden, what can you share with us about Mr. Bush?
Yes, Mr. Wise, he's been with us since 2010. As you can see from he had a couple problems when he first got here, a couple write-ups, but then he went 5 years without a write-up from 2010 to 2015. And then, as you noted earlier, 2015 to 2020, he didn't have a report until that contraband. That was in fact an incident on the road crew, him and several other offenders. And it's one of those you are your brother's keeper's lessons to learn. He got caught up in, but he's taking a lot of good programming. He has a good attitude. I'm glad to see that he's accomplished a lot of things since his time incarcerated. And I have some positive comments for him.
All right, thank you, Warden. Chairman, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from Ms. Chantel.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead. Brief statement.
My name is Chantel Bariste. I'm Cornell's sister, and I just wanted to say that my relationship with Cornell has been very positive. I do believe that he has been rehabilitated. I do believe that he's empathetic about the situation and what happened. And we are a close-knit family. We speak all the time, like what he was mentioning about like the father's program. I have 2 daughters, 5 and 3, and they talk all day. He's always speaking life into them. He speaks life into me. He's positive. Even being incarcerated, he wants to make sure everything is going well within our household. He's always asking how we're doing, and just really positive for the circumstances that he's in. And I do believe that he's changed. I do believe that he wants to do better. He talks about his future all the time, about how what we're gonna do when, he's hopeful, what we're gonna do one day when he is out, being with the family, and his overall, I just would like to he's positive. He's positive, and that's what I wanted to say about it. I just, what I take from him is encouragement.
Okay, thank you, yes, ma'am. We'll hear from Mr. Christopher Bush now.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak on behalf of my brother, Cornell Bush. And my name is Christopher Bush, the younger brother of Cornell Bush. I'm a graduate of Tulane University. I'm joined here with my wife, Mary Bush. We have 3 children, and I work as a healthcare consultant. with local and regional hospitals. And so as far as my brother goes, he's missed a significant amount of time. I do believe he's very apologetic. I do believe he's very remorseful. We continuously have consistent weekly contact through phone conversation, as well as JPay and letters. And so my hope and my prayer is that Cornell would be released to be back with his family. He has a significant amount of potential to speak to both imprisoned as well as free individuals. And so my hope is that he is released to join the family. Like I said, I think he's taken full responsibility for his actions, and his activity while being in prison has kind of shown that. And so he's demonstrated just great character, a lot of character that I believe most Americans would want to really demonstrate, just having a level of integrity, owning up for things that he's done, being remorseful, responsible, respectful. And so I believe those are just values that most American citizens would want to have, right? And so I do believe that his story is very unique, but I think it's a story that would keep communities united with some of the real and active issues that we deal with in our communities. So I believe that he's been rehabilitated. I believe that he's been a standing role model while he's been incarcerated in this difficult situation, getting his bachelor's degree and other technical certifications. He's taken a substantial foot forward as far as his spiritual maturity. And there's multiple groups that he's been a part of to really kind of embrace his relationship with God and being very humble and modest. And so he's remained drug-free. So I just feel like his mental state is very secure, very strong. And so I think the opportunity of him being released, he'll be welcomed home into a very stable, safe environment around family members that truly have loved him from his time before his imprisonment all the way through his imprisonment, and that are here joined today with him in this discussion. So he'll have a biological support, a spiritual support. Healing Place Church, I'm a member of the church. They have a very active prison community where they go into prisons and speak to inmates. We even stream our service in a lot of prison systems. And so I do feel like he'll have a tremendous amount of support if he is released. And so I thank you for the ability to be able to kind of speak on his behalf. And I just know that he has a significant spiritual support system that I know he embraces when and if he is released. And so.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We'll hear from Mr. Cornell Bush Sr.
Good morning to the parole board. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of my son, Cornell Bush Jr. I am a military retiree, and I have created a small business that I know that my son would fit right in with me. Early on in life with my son Cornell, through high school, he was attending the ROTC program. Went from there, went into the Marine Corps, and I'm already in the military, so that was a big old thumbs up for me. We make mistakes, and I can't hold. He made a mistake, but I know by his actions right now. I'm looking at all the schools that he done did, how he done rehabilitated himself with the help of the different programs. You know, when Cornell and I would talk on the phone, I would say, well, I would ask him what kind of programs they got. You got to keep your mind intact, and you got to watch out for things that's going on around you, because you don't want to be a part of that. One day you want to go home, and to do that, you got to stay clean. You got to stay abreast of what's going on around you. Cornell would have a home. I don't have any problem with supporting him 100% while he's out. I know he's going to do well with the degree he have. He just got a degree with Wally College and all the other schools and at courses that he have taken. I'm just asking the board, grant him a release, because he's gonna be worth it. He's gonna make you proud of him. I guarantee you that. This guy done changed 190 degrees. He didn't change that much. I'm looking at some paperwork that he had sent home, where he got these different courses in the Bible. Man, I loved it. I love to see that kind of stuff. I love to hear it. And when he and I get a chance to talk, he just uplifts me, and it makes me feel bad because I should be uplifting him. He uplifts me.
Yes, sir.
Well, I didn't want to beat it to death, sir. I just wanted to thank the board for letting me say something about my son.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Miss Judith Lombardino.
Can you hear us, sir?
We can.
Okay. Good morning to the board. I have with me today Mr. Cassiope Jr., who was the victim of this crime, and also his father is here, Mr. Joseph Cassiope Sr. And Mr. Cassiope Jr. wants to make a statement to the parole board about how the events of that tragic night has affected his life and what he went through and what he's continuing to go through.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and make your comments.
My name is Joseph Cassiope. I'm the only surviving eyewitness and victim of a crime spree that resulted in a cruel, premeditated, cold-blooded execution-style murder of my fiancée, Alicia, and my about-to-be-born daughter, and the cold-blooded attempt to murder me. I oppose granting parole to Bush. Bush was supposed to be our friend. Instead, he and the two Sweeney brothers plotted to and did rob and kill Alicia in cold blood and attempted to kill me in cold blood as well. At the time of her murder, Alicia was 7 months pregnant with our daughter. But so cold-blooded, callous, and cruel is the manner in which they planned to and did carry out these crimes. It was calculated and premeditated. Bush drove from Kenner to my home in Chalmette in his car. He had at least 30, 45 minutes to think about what they were going to do, and, could have turned around at any point. Alicia and I, before they arrived at our home, like I said, he could have turned around. That night, Alicia and I welcomed Bush into our home. For at least 45 minutes, Bush pretended to be our friend. Laughing, joking, sitting on the couch with us, watching TV, playing video games. Bush looked at me and Alicia in the face. When Bush looked at Alicia, he saw a black and obviously 7-month pregnant young woman. During the entire time, Bush pretended to be our friend, and he knew he had hidden a sawed-off shotgun just outside the door of our home. When Bush retrieved the shotgun. He stood between us and the door to the outside, which was the only exit and entrance to the house. He threatened to kill us if we moved, while the Sweeney brothers searched our house for money and things to steal. I still hear Alicia begging, please don't kill me, when they still see Wilbert shooting Alicia in the head and can hear the blast as he pulled the trigger. I can still feel and hear being shot in the back and in my leg. I can still feel the glass in the window cutting through my leg as I jumped through to save my life. I remember Alicia's blood, her brains, and my blood and the pain. I should have bled to death and would have, except for a good Samaritan. I remember being told that one of the shots missed my heart and I was lucky to be alive. I should not be alive. And if they had their way, I would have been dead too. All three planned to rob us and kill us. There was no way any of them were going to let us live, as they were looking at 99 years in prison just from armed robbery. We knew them, could identify them, and I knew where they lived. I knew where they worked. I described his car, and I have helped Bush get jobs in the past. If we lived, they were going to prison. To prevent that, they had to kill us. It doesn't matter which one killed Alicia, they were all in it together. They were all just as guilty. And Bush should serve every day he was sentenced to. Every day I live with the scars of that day, emotionally and physically. I have never married nor fathered a child. Every day I think about what they took from me, the images of that day, Alicia laying in her own blood, the thoughts, our baby girl, our daughter, never getting a chance to live, and Alicia's 3-year-old son growing up without a mother, who was sleeping upstairs when this happened. To this day, I've never recovered from my physical injuries. I still have pain where the bullet hit and damaged my sciatic nerve. I've had 2 surgeries and will likely need more to get rid of the scar tissue that keeps building up on my sciatic nerve. Every day I suffer with pain. I cannot sit more than a few hours. My feet and legs are numb, and the pain will never stop. While in court, I can still hear and see Bush laughing and smiling with the Sweeney brothers as they face first-degree murder, armed robbery, feticide, and attempted murder, as if nothing had ever happened. Throughout the legal processes, Bush never showed remorse for the lives he and his criminal partners took, or the damage he caused. He forever took away my child, fiance, and he forever took a mother away from her 3-year-old son. Bush is not supposed to be eligible for parole. Myself, my family, and Alicia's family were all told that Bush could not be paroled, that his sentence could only be reduced if he earned good time. He has already received more leniency than he deserves. Bush agreed to and was sentenced to 40 years without parole. He knew and was told by the judge when he pled guilty, he was not eligible for parole. He knew his sentence could not be reduced except by good time. Bush agreed to spend 40 years in prison. And I intend to hold him there, even if the state of Louisiana won't. I feel that the state of Louisiana has betrayed me. It cares more for the life of a criminal than it does for Alicia's life, my life, and that of my unborn daughter. The state of Louisiana has broken promises it's made to me, Alicia, our daughter, and our families. So it's up to me to remind you of what happened. So it's up to me to relive and retell the awful events of that day, no matter how traumatizing it is for me. This is the 3rd time in 4 years that Bush has sought some type of release. Each time it's ruined by Thanksgiving or Christmas for myself and my family and my friends. I get up in the morning thinking about it and go to bed thinking about it. Bush has already been given more leniency than he deserves. Parole for him is not justice for me, for Alicia, my daughter, nor our families or friends.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we'll hear from the Assistant Ms. Megan Suffern.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having us. I also have present with me the District Attorney, Perry Nikosha.
Hi, good morning. Glad to have this opportunity. And this is my first parole board hearing as the elected district attorney in St. Bernard Parish. I have a armed robbery trial going on right now, but this is a hearing I needed to be at, and I want to God bless Mr. Cassiope and everything he has said. It's what I was going to say. I do not want to say anything because what he said and how he said it, I agree with everything. This is one of the most heinous crimes I've ever read in a police report or witnessed in St. Bernard Parish. And Mr. Bush, Christopher Bush, I understand you began by saying your brother has missed time. I think about that child and Mr. Cassiope, the time that child has missed, the time that he has missed with his child, the time that he has missed with Alicia, and the time Alicia has missed and what her life could have been. This is a first-degree murder case. Of course, I was not the district attorney at that time. I've handled many, many cases as a judge and as a district attorney. This is one of the most heinous murders in St. Bernard Parish history. I wanted to personally be here. And Mr. Cassiope, again, I echo, I'm very, very sorry, sir. And I will be by your side because it was 40 years. I'm not sure what went into it. It's not something I would do today. But I think Mr. Bush understands. He pled guilty. He agreed to 40 years, and he should do his 40 years. And I will be here with you, Mr. Cassiope, every time. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now we'll hear from Cornell Jr. If you'd like to make a statement on your behalf.
Yes, sir. 1998, that year, I co-conspired with two other men, and we were wrong. But I personally, I was part of it. And so you're right, I was sentenced on the principle. So whatever one did, we all did. And I don't agree with what he did, but it was done, and I hate that it happened. I hate that Mr. Capaccio, he doesn't know me. He knew my fall partners. He knew them, and I was part of that. And I regret it. I really do. It's horrible. But like you said, the way I was sentenced was principle. Hey, whether you did it or not, you don't have to be the trigger man. You were part of it, and for that, I regret. I regret that I was part of something like that. I'm moving forward. I tried to move forward in prison, but the reality, I haven't read about it in so long, but the reality of it just is such a shock that I could be part of something like that. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
I recommend executive session at this time to discuss confidential matters related to this case.
We have a motion for executive session. Ms. Pearl Wise.
Mr. Bush, your case was assigned to me, so for that reason, I'll be voting first. I do want to appreciate the victim for the strength that I know it took to be present today. That's valuable, and I just wish you well, Mr. Bush. In reviewing your record, I am just not willing to take a chance on you today. My vote is to deny. You have the strong law enforcement opposition. You have the victim's opposition. That write-up, the warden explained the circumstances. However, you did lose 60 days of good time in 2020. I would like to see that good time restored and you back on trustee status so I could be comfortable in letting you go. And I appreciate your family contact, family support, and I think you're gonna always have that. But today, my vote is to deny, and I wish you well, and just continue. I believe you're on the right track. Be sure and own what you did. Own it. Own your participation in the crime. That is going to really propel you forward. But my vote is to deny today for the reasons I've already stated.
All right, Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bush, I want to commend you for your service to our country in the military. Ms. Wise mentioned she thought maybe you might make that a career. I kind of wish you would have. We all wouldn't be here today, probably, had that been the case. I likewise would like to express my appreciation for the courage of Mr. Cassiope for testifying here today. Mr. Bush, my concerns are twofold. One is the write-up that you had, and I understand that maybe you just got it because everybody else was there as well. But that's part of responsibility, and that's part of things go. It significant, however, the thing that concerns me the most is your lack of acceptance of responsibility. You keep talking legal terms, and I'm a lawyer, I was a judge, I understand the law. You keep talking in legal terms of being a principal. Well, a principal is a person who is actively involved in the crime, not an accessory after the fact that you just kind of sat there and didn't do something. You are just as responsible as anyone else for that crime. And until you accept that, my vote would likewise always be to deny your parole. But today my vote is to deny for those reasons I've stated. You worked hard, you've done a lot, continue your work, and I encourage you to look inward to really see what you've done and what harm you have caused to everyone. So good luck to you.
Two votes to deny your parole also. I'm going to vote to deny your parole for the same reasons as stated by my colleagues. Continue to work hard to do the things you need to do. There'll be another opportunity, but today for me, it's a deny. So 3 votes to deny. Today your parole's been denied. Thank you for the victim. We'd also like to thank DA Nicosia and Ms. Suffern. Thank you guys for being a part of the process.
And they denied, but instead of unpacking this, what I'm going to do is look at the old man and just listen to that unpacking. And then we'll come into the present day, watch his 2025 parole hearing, and I'll do the unpacking from there with any of my thoughts, etc., etc. But always interesting, always fun to watch the old man do his thing. So let's jump in. That hearing, the way it started and the way it was going with, Miss Wise conducting the interview, I really just thought, it's not like maybe he should get off. He seems like he didn't really do anything. And then you have the victim come up and speak. And he spoke so well that even Brennan Kelsey didn't cut him off. And to think of the crime that happened in this house, the way he described it, his pregnant girlfriend or fiance, 7 months pregnant, and the guy takes a shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun, which he had hidden. They went there with the intention of robbing them, and he uses the shotgun on a pregnant woman. Who does that? And yeah, I get that Cornell was the one that pulled the trigger. And I do have a problem with considering everyone as the same person. I don't think it is the same. But in this case, it was like the insult to injury, the way that the entire hearing happened, having to listen to his family members and having to listen to the way that he described the case, the situation to Miss Wise. He said, so he said, I mean, the words are, so what was your role in the robbery? And he said that, well, there was a man with drugs and money, and it didn't work out. He was willing to die. He was really willing to die. Those are the words that he used at his parole hearing. Are you nuts? He's blaming the victim for what happened. Those were the words that he used. It didn't work out. He was willing to die. Like, in his mind, he's saying, we thought we'd show up with a shotgun and he would tell us where the drugs were and the money, and we would just take it and leave. But he wasn't willing to do that. So, it happened. It's like, and there's no proof that there even was anything in the house. Wow, how time flies, huh? It really is crazy how this happens. The old man do, I guess the younger man do, but anyways, we're going to go fast forward to the present day, 2025. If you can imagine, the victims have to go through this all over again. It's hard to really believe it. So this hearing was February 3rd, 2021, and now here we are, February 13th, 2025. And with that, let's jump in.
19340. Okay, let me tell you how this thing is going to go. All right, we're going to talk to you in a few minutes and you're going to be able to lead the show. You're going to tell us why you think that you're deserving of being paroled today. And you can tell us anything that you want about how you reformed or not reformed or anything that you want to tell us. It's going to be your floor. And then we're going to go to the wardens and see how you've done at the institution. Then we will move on and we'll talk to a number of people that have signed up. In particular, 3 that will be allowed to speak on your behalf. And then we're going to talk to, looks like 4 that are going to speak in opposition to what your request is. Once we've heard all of that, we're going to turn this thing over, and Mr. Barra is going to lead the interview with you. Explaining the process is probably taking longer than the whole interview is going to be. Okay, but we're going to give you your shot right now to tell us why you think that you are deserving of a parole and shortening your time to serve. Mr. Bush, it's all your show.
Mr. Prater, just if I may, for the record, Deputy Warden Stephen Bordelon has joined from the rank of the board staff, just for the record.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. All right, go ahead.
Make sure I said that. Okay, Mr. Bush, go ahead. Tell us why you're in jail and what you did and all of that.
Okay. I'm in prison because I committed a crime that resulted in the murder of a pregnant woman and another man shot. And it was a heinous crime. I was a willing participant. I was there and I was part of it. I fled the scene. I couldn't. It was bigger than what I expected, but I was a willing participant. And as a result, there are families who do not have a daughter, an unborn child. As a result, another family have to suffer their son or their brother that was shot. And I know that was it would leave an impact on their lives. Today, I'm not that person. I'm a genuine person. I made bad choices. I made horrible choices that resulted in a fatality and the hurt of someone else. Today, I seek to be a person that seeks education and rehabilitation. I take classes whenever they're available. I've taken Experiencing God, and this was one of the classes that began to take me out of the dark that overshadowed me. For so long, I beat myself up about the crime that I committed. And this began to impact my life, teach me that God is always pursuing you. And that helped me to come out of that. Once I come out of that, I kind of leveled up and I began to seek education. I got in Wiley College and I got a degree in business management. I've taken victim impact, and this course, it didn't do what I was expecting, where I was expecting to be condemned and finger pointed at, but it taught me statistics and hearing how people respond to crimes being committed against them. So I developed an empathy, and shortly after my sister, she was pregnant with her first child. She was 7 years old, 8 years old when I first come to prison. And today she's married. She has 2 kids and she's raising a household. But when she came to visit me once in the first pregnancy, it really shook me because I realized what I did, what I was a part of. And when I looked at her, I didn't express it to her or anything. I went along with the visit, but after it was gone, all I could say is, God, have mercy. Look, I know what I did. I can't believe it. And I kept saying to myself, what have I done? Because it reminded me of what I caused. It's a serious matter when you know, any type of violence against anyone resulting in a murder, but this is a pregnant woman, and it was totally wrong and against everything that I believe stand for. So today I believe I'm worthy of a chance because number one, I've matured. I'm 52 years old. I was 23 when I come to prison. And not saying that age alone matured me, but going through the situations that you go through in prison, if you don't mature, you will go backwards until you grow up. And I've learned to deal with inner things. They call it self-talk and anger management. I did a lot of self-talk. So when I think of the victims of my crime, and I want to say that I'm sorry to I'm sorry to the victims and their families. I want to say that I'm so sorry to them. And another thing they teach you in victim impact is this. When you ask your victim, the victim of your crime, to forgive you, you place an additional burden on them. But to me, saying I'm sorry and asking forgiveness is a twin thing. But I don't want to add a burden, but the desire to ask that is there. I just want them to know that I am sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for what happened, and I'm sorry for what they've gone through. I know it's been a long struggle for them. I know I've left a scar on their lives, on their families' lives, on their friends, because I know they care for them as well. But and that'd be it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That was a good interview. Warden, would you tell us exactly what kind of fellow you've been?
Yeah, yes, sir, Mr. Prater. As always, first and foremost, my sympathies, deepest sympathies to the victims and the families, as always. And I hope they understand that, my job is to talk about Mr. Bush and not the crime. So again, as always, my sympathies to the families and the victims. But Cornell has improved. He's done, his disciplinary history is good. He hasn't had a write-up in over 5 years. Before that, it was 5. So he's had one write-up in the last 10 years, basically. Completed a lot of classes. Since his last hearing, he completed, as he spoke quite a bit on, the victim impact program. And I think he learned quite a bit from that. His last hearing, we had long discussions about that because, he downplayed his role in the crime during that hearing. And we spoke after that, and he has learned. And as you can hear from him, he now accepts responsibility. He understands that, you can't downplay your role in those situations. You were there, you were a willing participant. This is just as much your fault as it is any of the other ones. And I believe he understands. I believe he's learned a lot from those classes. He's achieved trustee status, which I'm proud of him for that. He committed a terrible crime, but he's used his time well while being here, and has learned a lot, I believe. So he's been doing well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I appreciate that. Okay, we'll start out hearing from people that are in favor of this request. We'll start out with Miss Mia Lowy with the first organization, First 72. Mia, are you ready to talk?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, would you go ahead and start us out, please, ma'am? And on all the comments, we're going to try to limit everything to about 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to speak today in support of Mr. Cornell Bush. My name is Mia Lowy. I'm the Director of Client Services at the First 72 Plus. We are a reentry organization based in New Orleans, and our entire goal and mission is to stop the cycle of incarceration by providing adequate support to those returning home from prison or jail. Mr. Bush sought our organization out. He got in contact with me by writing a letter to our office and was asking for support in his parole board hearings and support once he is eventually released. From my experiences with him, he is very motivated, proactive. He has shown that he can handle responsibility as a trustee and also holds very near and dear to his heart his veteran status. Our organization has secured housing for Mr. Bush once he is released. He will work with our organization to progress with certain milestones or goals that he may set for himself, one of them being employment. So he will work with his assigned case manager to create a resume, connect with job training programs, attend job fairs, and submit job applications with fair chance employers. He has experience in construction and landscaping, which lends itself well to a lot of available jobs in New Orleans. And he's also interested in working offshore, which is a goal that we will work towards with him. He'll work with our economic empowerment team to open a bank account, create a budget, and begin saving to afford an apartment on his own. Our public benefits clinic will assist him with anything he may need regarding documentation or public benefits, so food stamps and Medicaid. Same thing with an ID, a birth certificate, a social security card. We will also help him with any of his health goals. So getting him set up with a primary care physician. He has already completed an assessment with the Council on Drug Abuse, also known as CADA. So they have already set him up for once he's released to attend free counseling sessions once he returns home, which will meet both of his mental health and substance abuse needs. We have a couple of social support groups. We have a 9 Steps to Staying Free class, which is a weekly peer mentorship class. It is modeled after a lot of the classes that they take while they're inside. So victim impact, responding versus reacting, things like that. He'll be in our life skills class, which will help him readjust to living in the city, learning rename street names, answering the conviction question during a job interview, setting goals. I've been working with Mr. Bush's family since I believe last September, and I can really sense how much they would love to have him home. He has just an immense amount of familial support, and I believe that the combination of our organization and his family, he will stay on the right path and find a lot of success once released.
Okay.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the work that y'all do and appreciate your lending your support. Okay, just for the record, Mr. Cornell Bush Senior and Cassandra Bush are with us by Zoom, but they will not be speaking. The next one to speak will be Chantel Barista, if I'm saying that right, or Barista, Chantel, who is the sister. Chantel, are you available now?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, would you tell us what you want to say and limit your remarks, please, ma'am, to 3 minutes or less?
Yes, sir. First off, I just want to say good morning. My name is Chantel. I'm Cornell's sister. I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to speak here today. And I wanted to express my family and I's support for Cornell. I speak with my brother maybe once a week more so. And personally, I've watched him speak and learn from programs provided and experience. And the experience, and most definitely has helped him, it's helped shape him into and also reflect. And I'm sorry, I'm nervous. What I'm trying to say is basically the programs that he's been doing, I've seen how it has reflected through his life and just the way that he speaks, and become a more responsible person. As his sister, I can attest to the fact that Cornell understands the impact of his past actions, and through the reflection of past conversations we've had, we believe that granting him parole would not only benefit him, but also allow him to give back to the community, as he often speaks about starting various businesses, such as a janitorial business. He continues to take the initiative to educate himself by reading different business books, and it's something I personally see that he's passionate about. And I have no doubt that he will follow through with any goals that he has. Like Miss Mia was saying, working offshore, he's spoken about that a lot as well, where I just see the motivation. And our family is ready to support Cornell upon given the opportunity for release. There are plans in place, such as housing arrangements, job opportunities, and community support through our local church. Also, reliable transportation. We are committed to being there for him, helping him navigate any challenges he may face. And I'm confident that he will make the most of a second chance based off his attitude, consistent, positive behavior, and also what he has accomplished during his time. My family and I humbly ask that you please grant him release, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that, Chantel, and thank you for your words. And you sound like a wonderful, supportive sister. We'll hear from Chris Bush now, the brother. Mr. Bush.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, parole board members, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. So I'm speaking on behalf of my brother for his consideration of parole. The request is not to diminish really of any of the profound loss suffered by the victims and their families, but rather really to present personal transformation, rehabilitation, and readiness to re-enter society as a reformed man. I truly believe Cornell deeply regrets his involvement in the tragic events, fully acknowledging his devastation impact of those actions. The loss of a daughter and a mother and an unborn child, as well as the pain endured by the surviving victim. I think it's something that he carries with him daily now and fully recognizes. Through a lot of years of introspection and counseling and rehabilitation programs, I think he's really sought to truly understand his past mistakes and has dedicated himself to personal growth. He's obviously completed a lot of programs and counseling. His remorse is genuine. He's used his time, I think, wisely, right, to reflect and improve as a person. And I think just, obviously you could see today he has a very strong support system ready to help him reintegrate into society. So as a family, we stand with him, providing stability and guidance to ensure his success, and making sure he's committed to making a positive contribution and really honoring the lives that were impacted by his mistakes. So we fully respect and understand the deep pain and the trauma experienced by the victims' loved ones and everyone involved. We acknowledge that there's psychological, physical, and emotional wounds that may not ever fully heal. And we deeply regret, right, that irreparable harm that was caused, acknowledge their pain and loss. And so we don't seek to diminish that in any kind of way. But at the same time, we do believe in the power of redemption as a way to not erase the past, but a way for Cornell to honor the lives impacted by his actions through meaningful change and positive contribution. So Cornell is not the same person he was 20 plus years ago at the time of his conviction, at the time of the crime. He's taken full responsibility and taken every possible step to rehabilitate himself and make amends for his past actions. And so with that, we humbly ask for his consideration for parole. And I thank you for your time to let me speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bush. Thank you for your words. And you also, like your sister, seem to be very supportive and a close family. And we thank you for that. We'll move on to the opposition. First off, we'll hear from three victims or three relations to the victim. And then we will hear from, finally, we'll wrap up with the St. Bernard Assistant District Attorney Charles Ward will end the opposition. So we'll first hear from Bridget Bartholomew. Bridget, are you available? Okay. Bridget, would you tell us what you want to say? You're still muted, ma'am.
Oh,
Okay, now.
good morning. How y'all doing? And wish everybody well. Well, my opinion, I understand he been rehabilitated and everything, but he don't realize we still don't have her. We don't have her. We don't have the baby. Her son is going through trauma from that. It's a hurting feeling to know, just like his family would love to see him, he's still walking. He's still able to do what he have to do. She can't do that no more. This baby had never experienced a foot on earth. I see no reason for him to be able to come back into society and live like nothing never happened. I'm not for him to get out of that. And her son won't be able to speak today, but I could speak on his behalf too, because he's hurting a lot. He don't want him out. And I'm not going to prove for him to be out, more so because of him. He do not want to see him out on this earth. On his behalf, he told me to say good morning to y'all. I keep this brief because no words can explain the pain I suffer because of this man. They did not deserve to see freedom. They are getting more than they should get already. Every day I live life without my mother. Every day she's on my mind. I finally made peace with my life and accepting to make the best of this nightmare they caused me. So I asked the board, do not take away from me. They have already taken enough. He don't want them out. I don't want them out because they did take enough from us. You will get the freedom to go and live your life, have a family, and here we don't have one. No, I'm not for him to get out there. And I thank y'all for calling me for these meetings. And I never want to see him walk this earth again.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for your words, and again, we as a board are sorry for your loss also. We'll move on to Joseph Cassiopeia. Joseph, would you talk to us and tell us what your last name is first, sir? I'm sorry, I put.
No worries. Good morning, everybody. My name's Joseph Cassiope. I'm the only surviving eyewitness and victim of a crime spree that resulted in the cruel, premeditated, cold-blooded execution-style murder of my fiancée, Alicia, my about-to-be-born daughter, and the cold-blooded attempt to murder me. I oppose granting parole to Bush. Bush was supposed to be our friend. Instead, he and the two Sweeney brothers plotted to and did rob and kill Alicia in cold blood and attempted to kill me in cold blood as well. Bush was a 23-year-old man. At the time of her murder, Alicia just turned 21 and was 7 months pregnant with our daughter. What is so cold-blooded, callous, and cruel is the manner in which they planned and did carry out these crimes. It was calculated and premeditated. Bush drove from Kenner to my home in Chalmette in his car. He had at least 30 minutes to think about what they were going to do to Alicia and I before they arrived at our home. Bush could have turned around and he could have changed his mind, but he didn't. That night, Alicia and I welcomed Bush into our home for at least 45 minutes. Bush pretended to be our friend, laughing, joking, sitting on the couch with us, watching TV and playing video games. Bush looked at me and Alicia in the face. When Bush looked at Alicia, he obviously saw a 7-month pregnant young woman. During the entire time, Bush presented to be our friend. He knew he had a hidden sawed-off shotgun just outside the door of our home. At the prearranged time, Bush retrieved the shotgun and then stood between us and the door to the outside, which was the only exit and entrance to our house, blocking our escape. Bush held me and Alicia at gunpoint, more than once threatened to kill us if we moved, while the Sweeney brothers searched our house for money and things to steal. I could still hear Alicia begging, "Please don't kill me." When they were finished, we were ordered to put pillows over our faces. I can still see Wilbert shooting Alicia in the head and can still hear the blast as he pulled the trigger. I can still feel and hear being shot in the back and in my leg. I can still feel the glass of the window cutting through my leg as I jumped through the window to save my life. I remember Alicia's blood, her brains, and my blood in the pain. I should have bled to death and would have except for a good Samaritan. I remember being told that one of the shots barely missed my heart and I was lucky to be alive. I shouldn't be alive, and if Bush and the Sweeney brothers had had their way, I'd be dead too. All three planned to rob and kill us. There was no way any of them were going to let us live. As they were looking at 99 years just with an armed robbery, we knew them. We could identify them. I knew where Bush and Sweeney lived. I knew where they worked. I could and did describe Bush's car, and I have helped Bush get a job in the past. If we lived, they were going to prison. To prevent that, they had to kill us. It doesn't matter which one shot and killed Alicia. They were all in it together, and they were all just as guilty, and Bush should serve every day he was sentenced to. Every day I live with the scars of that day, emotional and physical. I have never married nor fathered another child. Every day I think about what they took from me. We were a family. Alicia and I were raising her son, Jeremiah, and we were looking forward to the birth of our first child. I think of my daughter, who I will never know. I wonder if she would look like her beautiful mother. I wonder if she would still have been kind like her mother. I wonder what college she would have chosen. Bush destroyed all that and more. I can still see the images from that day. Alicia laying in her own blood, the thoughts of our baby girl and daughter never getting a chance to live, and Alicia's son Jeremiah growing up without his mother. To this day, I've never recovered from my physical injuries. Every day I suffer with pain from where the bullet hit and damaged my sciatic nerve. I've had 2 surgeries and will likely need more as scar tissue continues to build up and press against my sciatic nerve. I cannot sit more than a few hours, and my foot and leg are numb all the time. I will never be without this pain. While in court, I could still hear and see Bush laughing and smiling with the Sweeney brothers as they faced first-degree murder, armed robbery, feticide, and attempted murder charges, as if nothing ever happened. Throughout the legal process, Bush never showed remorse for the lives he and his criminal partners took, or the damage caused. He forever took away my child and fiance. He forever took away a mother, Alicia, from her son. Bush is not supposed to be eligible for parole. Myself, my family, and Alicia's family were all told that Bush could not be paroled, that his sentence could only be reduced if he earned good time. Bush agreed to and was sentenced to 40 years without parole. He knew and was told by the judge when he pled guilty, he was not eligible for parole. He knew his sentence could not be reduced except by good time. Bush agreed to spend 40 years in prison, and I intend to hold him to it. I feel that the state of Louisiana has betrayed me when it recently made violent criminals like Bush eligible for parole. That it cares more for the life of a criminal than it does for Alicia's life, my life, that of my daughter, or any other victim. The state of Louisiana has broken the promises it made to me, Alicia, our daughter, and our families. Knowing that Bush would spend almost all of the 40 years in jail helped me emotionally, but that has now been stripped from us as well. Even though the state of Louisiana now says it won't hold Bush to the promises made to me and Jeremiah, this board can hold Bush to the promises. I beg you, don't release him. It's also up to me to remind you of what happened. It's up to me to relive and retell the horrible events of that day, no matter how traumatic it is for me. Bush has already been given more mercy and leniency than he deserves. Parole for him is not justice for me, Alicia, our baby girl, Jeremiah, or our families. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on to your dad. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. I would just like to make a very simple plea for the board to deny a parole. Our entire family is, has been changed by the first degree premeditated execution style murder of Alicia, our child, and the attempted first degree murder of my son. We want to thank the St. Bernard Parish District Attorney's Office for their support, and in particular, DA Nicosia. And I think in a previous hearing, DA Nicosia said that in his experience in St. Bernard, this was the most heinous crime ever committed in St. Bernard Parish. Joe's life and the life of our families have been forever changed, and not for the good. Joe suffers constantly with pain, both emotional and physical. He's described the scar tissue and the sciatic nerve and all this other stuff, but emotionally, this has changed him forever. And we beg that you not pardon Mr. Bush. He agreed to 40 years without parole. He was an adult, and as my son said, he's been already shown more leniency than he deserves.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate those words. And again, let me express our condolences for your loss and what you've suffered. Okay, we'll move on to the Assistant District Attorney, Mr. Charles Ward. Mr. Ward, would you tell us in conclusion of all the opposition what your statement is?
Good morning, everyone. I can just echo the statements of the family members of the victims and the victim himself. And I'd like to point out that this is an absolutely horrific crime. Maybe one of the worst that I've read about too, just as Mr. Nicosia. And I'd like to remind the parole board that had he been convicted of the crimes for which he had been charged, he would have received probably up to 99 years for the armed robbery, up to a significant amount of time, including possibly, life in prison for the murder, and possibly even the death penalty. So the fact that he was allowed to plead to manslaughter was a unique gift to this defendant. For him now to want to, and by the way, he agreed to 40 years without the benefit of parole. So Mr. Capioppi is absolutely correct about that. He agreed to it, and I think that's what everybody expects him to serve is the entire 40 years. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. We appreciate it and appreciate the work of your office. Okay, now this interview is going to be conducted by Mr. Danny Barra on my right. He's the one that's been assigned this case.
Well, it's been summed up. The case has been summed up pretty well already. I just have a question. How many times did you shoot your shotgun that day?
I didn't shoot it at all.
Never fired it at all?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Well, that was my only question.
Okay.
I have no questions.
I have no question. I think it's time for us to vote. Mr. Barra?
Well, I'm gonna have to vote to deny your parole. I've heard what the victim said. I heard what the DA said. I see that the family was told that you were gonna do 40 years and you agreed to it. And also agree with the fact what the DA said about you had a gift when you got 40 years because this was an obvious first-degree murder during the commission of an armed robbery, which could have got you the death penalty. So 40 years was a gift. And I'm not going to come behind that jury and say you should get anything less. So today, I have to vote to deny.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tillis?
Because of the victims and law enforcement opposition, my vote's to deny.
Okay, I'll concur with those votes. I do want to say we did hear everything that you said as far as having true remorse, having taken all the rehabilitation classes that you could get into and taking all those successfully. I want to tell you that we also heard you got a very supportive family that loves you very much. I know it's hard to take that you're being denied, but that's the vote of the board, and that's what our job is to do, what we think is best in the situation. So I hate to tell you, but your request has been denied. The time is 10:14. I think we're through it. Okay, we'll sign off from Raymond and the board, and thank you very much, Warden, for always accommodating us.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Okay, and they denied, and again, it's with the butterflies and the flying turtles with the support, and then you come in with the dramatics of the victims. And once you hear the victims, for me, it's always like, whoa, because you release someone, you're re-victimizing the victims, and that's always where I come to. There are people that say, Mandu, you have no empathy. Mandu, how could you do this? Mandu, they this and this that, and it's like, well, it's really interesting that you say that because I do have empathy. My empathy are for the victims crying here. That's where my empathy lies. Let me ask you, you're telling me that I don't know that we don't have empathy for wanting, so where's your empathy for them? And the only answer that I can possibly think of someone that might say, I mean, there might be multiple answers, but the variations would be more or less, yeah, that sucks for them. I'm sorry that they really don't, but it's too bad. In short, I mean, that's it. You might say it nicer, but that's the bottom line. You are still putting the person who is responsible for all this pain and suffering and saying that person's interests come before the victims. And if you want to believe that and you want to say that, then you got to also accept the fact that you do not have empathy for those victims. So don't come to me and talk to me about empathy. It really is. It's almost funny. It's like how often people drop that in the comment section. And oh man, I mean, I look, I for one, I personally don't believe I believe that someone who pulls the trigger is different than someone who doesn't pull the trigger. But to the victim, the survivor's point, he knew who they were. They weren't strangers. They weren't. And that in a sense sets the tone for premeditation, because how are you not going to get in trouble for it unless they just assumed that they wouldn't tell the cops because it was supposedly a drug bust? But I don't know. I don't. But I guess he did do a little bit of a better job in interviewing, and you got to give him credit for that. And the parole hearing in itself, outside of the testimony from the supporters and the objectors, the whole parole hearing just lasts. It's really just a few minutes. They don't get into it like the old parole court does. And I don't know. I see some of you like it. I'm not a huge fan, but regardless, we have many more hearings like this coming up. It goes into the return of playlists. Thank you, Sir Richard, for your master spreadsheets for making this possible, and Holly for jumping in.
When it recently made violent criminals like Bush eligible for parole, that it cares more for the life of a criminal than it does for Alicia's life, my life, that of my daughter, or any other victim. The state of Louisiana has broken the promises it made to me, Alicia, our daughter, and our families.